So you were stung by one of those Triffids, Mr. Mason?
Yes, I work on a Triffid farm.
I don't know much about Triffids myself, but I think I would be scared working with them. And it's the second time you were also stung when you were 12.
Yes, that's right. My first experience of them was when I still lived at home with Mum and Dad in Hold Your Eyes. I was the first person in England to have been stung by a Triffid. It's a plant in our garden. Our plant was too young for its poison to be fully effective, and the doctors managed to save my life. They couldn't only walk, they could kill. Triffids began to appear all over the world, and something else was learned about them that sickened everyone. Triffids were also carnivores. They stung their victims, then stood over them, waiting for the flesh to decompose, because not until then could they use it for food. Triffids were hacked down by the thousand, and the new plant was very nearly eliminated from Earth. Very nearly, but not quite. Because suddenly the scientists realized that the nasty old Triffid was the same plant from Russia that produced the wonderful oil. That meant that Triffids were very lovely and very big business. And as I felt I had a bond with them, I went to work on a Triffid farm. It reminds me of that conversation we were having the other week, talking about Triffids. That evening we were working there.
We know very little about them, you know. For example, what do you think that is? When they rattle their sticks against their stem.
Well, I thought we decided it was a sort of primitive mating call.
I think they're talking.
Talking?
I've been thinking that for some time. Now I'm prepared to say so. Well, to you, anyway.
Walter, a Triffid is a plant. Now, a talking plant is ridiculous.
A walking plant is ridiculous, but a Triffid walks.
Well, it moves about.
Well, that's quibbling. It walks. And if I'm right and it talks, or if you want to quibble, communicates, that means somewhere inside it is intelligence.
But we've dissected them and know there's no brain.
That doesn't prove there isn't something that does a brain's job. Look at when they attack. They almost always go for the head. Now, a great number of people who have been stung but not killed have been blinded. That's significant.
Of what?
Of the fact they know the shortest way of putting a man out of action. If it were a choice of survival between a blind man and a Triffid, I know which I'd put my money on.
But you're assuming equal intelligence.
Oh, no, I'm not. They don't need their intelligence to equal ours.
What do you mean?
Look how complicated it is for us to feed ourselves. Even to just grow things and eat them raw. They live off the soil or from insects or bits of rotten meat. And look at the complex process we have to go through to make use of them. Put that in reverse. How would they make use of us? Just give us a sting, wait a few days, and they've got everything they need to live. That doesn't take very much intelligence.
You don't like them very much, do you?
They fascinate me. I should write a book about them one day.
Look, if they do have this intelligence, are you afraid of it?
Why should I be? They're under control. There's only one thing, though. I'd like to know what they're nattering about.
We've drawn back all the curtains in the ward so the patients can look out. What did the radio say it was? Comet what?
Debris.
It's amazing, Mr. Mason. Oh, I'm sorry. Have I been...
No, it's all right. It's just jealousy missing all the fun.
You sure you've had enough?
Yes.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor.
Evening, Mr. Mason. I'm Dr. Soames. Mr. Carter, your specialist, asked me to look in and see you.
Oh, good evening, Dr. Soames.
Will you be needing me for anything, Doctor?
May I thank you, nurse?
Good night, Mr. Mason.
Oh, good night, Barbara. Enjoy the free show.
Thank you, I will.
Yes, it's quite something you're missing tonight, Mr. Mason.
So I'm told.
I'm sorry. Must be very boring for you. Anyway, Mr. Carter asked me to tell you that he'll be in to see you immediately after breakfast, but he doesn't want you to be tempted to peep before then. These things have to be handled carefully. Exactly the right amount of light, and that sort of thing. Otherwise, some very expert work and 10 days' patience on your part could be ruined in a couple of seconds. You understand that?
Yes, of course.
Good. Triffid sting, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. I work on a Triffid farm.
I thought they all had their stings docked these days.
Not the ones we tap for oil. We discovered that the oil's a much better quality if we don't.
I see. I presume you wear some sort of protective clothing, don't you?
Oh, yes. But some of those stings are 10 feet long, and they can catch you at any angle. This one gave me a vicious swipe on the side of the mask, and some of the poison got inside.
You're rather lucky to be alive, aren't you?
Yes. I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for my friend. He took me inside and gave me the antidote. Added to which, I must have built up a certain amount of resistance. That's the second time that got me.
I'm surprised you haven't had enough of them.
I've decided. I have.
Well, good luck for tomorrow. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to join the gawpers on the roof. Good night, Mr. Mason.
Good night, Doctor.
They have no record of such a brilliant display of astronomical pyrotechnics ever taking place before. There seems to have been no country in the world that has not been able to have a look at this unique phenomenon. As night has moved across the Earth, the wonderful display has moved with it. And although the spectacle is just beginning to lose its strength, the streets and parks and rooftops of London are jammed with people excitedly watching one of the greatest free entertainments the world has ever seen.